What if I told you that buried within the pages of a seemingly obscure science fiction novel lies a masterclass in world building that could revolutionise how you think about storytelling, survival, and human nature itself? Today, we're diving deep into Patrick Tilley's AMTRAK Wars Book 4, Blood River, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll understand why this underground classic deserves your attention and might just change your perspective on post-apocalyptic fiction forever. Most people have never heard of Patrick Tilley's AMTRAK Wars series, and that's a tragedy because what this British author accomplished in the 1980s was nothing short of revolutionary. While everyone was reading the mainstream hits, Tilley was quietly crafting one of the most intricate and philosophically rich post-apocalyptic sagas ever written. Blood River, the fourth installment, represents the series at its absolute peak, delivering a narrative so complex and thought-provoking that it makes most modern dystopian fiction look like children's fairy tales. But here's what makes this particularly fascinating. Tilley wasn't just writing entertainment, he was creating a mirror for our own world, reflecting back uncomfortable truths about technology, power, and what it truly means to be human. The lessons embedded in this story are more relevant today than they were 40 years ago, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack together. Blood River stands as the fourth volume in Patrick Tilley's ambitious AMTRAK Wars saga, a series that began publication in the early 1980s and immediately distinguished itself from the crowded field of post-apocalyptic fiction through its unprecedented depth and complexity. Where most authors in this genre focus on surface-level survival drama, Tilley constructed an intricate mythology that spans centuries and challenges readers to question fundamental assumptions about civilization, progress, and human nature. Set in a future America devastated by nuclear holocaust, the AMTRAK Wars universe presents a world where the remnants of high-tech society have retreated underground into massive mobile cities called wagon trains, while the surface is dominated by primitive tribal cultures known as mutes. However, this apparent simplicity masks a narrative architecture of staggering complexity, where nothing is quite what it seems, and every revelation forces readers to reconsider everything they thought they understood. Patrick Tilley brought unique qualifications to this ambitious project. His background as a television producer and documentary filmmaker provided him with both the technical knowledge to envision believable future technologies and the storytelling skills to weave multiple plot threads into a cohesive whole. His experience in visual media is evident throughout Blood River, where every scene is rendered with cinematic clarity and attention to detail that brings this alien yet familiar world to vivid life. What sets Blood River apart from its predecessors is its willingness to dive deeper into the philosophical questions that the earlier volumes raised but didn't fully explore. This isn't simply a continuation of the story, but an evolution, where the stakes become not just physical survival, but the very soul of humanity itself. The characters we've followed through previous volumes face choices that will determine not only their individual fates, but the future direction of their entire civilization. The book's title itself carries multiple layers of meaning that only become clear as the narrative unfolds, serving as both literal description and metaphorical representation of the bloodshed and moral compromises that flow through every chapter like a crimson current. Blood River picks up the narrative threads left dangling at the end of Book 3, thrusting readers immediately back into a world where the fragile alliance between the Underground Federation and the surface-dwelling mutes faces its greatest test yet. The central protagonist, Steve Brickman, finds himself caught between loyalties as the true nature of the conflict between these civilizations becomes increasingly clear, forcing him to confront uncomfortable truth about his own people and their supposedly superior way of life. The Federation's wagon trains, those massive mobile cities that represent the last bastion of pre-Holocaust technology, are running out of time and resources. Their elaborate underground civilization, built on the premise that they are the rightful inheritors of the old world, discovers that their assumptions about the surface dwellers may have been catastrophically wrong. The mutes, long dismissed as primitive savages, reveal depths of knowledge and capability that shake the very foundations of Federation ideology. Meanwhile, the mysterious talisman prophecy continues to unfold, suggesting that the destiny of both civilizations may be intertwined in ways that neither fully comprehends. Ancient powers stir beneath the surface of this devastated world, and the line between technology and magic becomes increasingly blurred as characters discover abilities that challenge everything they thought they knew about reality itself. The Japanese enclave, representing a third faction in this complex power struggle, emerges as a wild card whose true intentions remain shrouded in secrecy. Their advanced biotechnology and disciplined society offer yet another model for post-apocalyptic civilization, but their goals may be fundamentally incompatible with both Federation and mute survival. As alliances shift and betrayals multiply, the characters must navigate an increasingly treacherous landscape where yesterday's enemies might become tomorrow's allies, and those they trusted most may harbour the darkest secrets of all. The opening chapters of Blood River establish the precarious position of all major factions following the events of the previous volume. The Federation's first family, the ruling elite who control the wagon trains from their underground cities, who face mounting pressure as resource depletion threatens their entire way of life. Their response reveals the authoritarian nature of their supposedly enlightened civilization, as they implement increasingly draconian measures to maintain control over their population while desperately seeking new sources of raw materials and energy. Steve Brickman's journey takes a dramatic turn as he becomes increasingly alienated from his Federation origins. His experiences with the mutes have opened his eyes to the propaganda and lies that formed the foundation of his education, and he begins to question not just specific Federation policies, but the entire worldview that supports their underground civilization. This internal transformation parallels the external conflicts raging across the devastated landscape, as Brickman realises that personal integrity and tribal loyalty may be fundamentally incompatible. The revelation of ancient technologies buried beneath the American wasteland represents a crucial turning point in the narrative. These discoveries suggest that the nuclear holocaust was not the random act of mutual destruction that both civilizations believed, but rather part of a larger pattern of rise and fall that is repeated throughout human history. The implications of this knowledge force all factions to reconsider their assumptions about progress, civilization, and their place in the cosmic order. The Japanese biotechnology program emerges as a major plot driver, revealing capabilities that dwarf both Federation engineering and mute mysticism. Their genetic manipulation techniques and biological warfare capabilities suggest that they have been preparing for a very different kind of conflict than either the Federation or the mutes anticipated. The true scope of their ambitions becomes clear as they demonstrate the ability to reshape not just the battlefield, but the very nature of life itself. Cadillac and Roz, two of the most compelling characters from previous volumes, face their own crisis of faith as the talisman prophecy demands sacrifices that test the limits of their commitment to their people and their beliefs. Their relationship, which has served as an anchor of stability throughout the series, comes under strain as they discover that destiny may require them to choose between personal happiness and the greater good of their respective civilizations. The climactic battles of Blood River are notable not just for their scope and intensity, but for their moral complexity. Unlike traditional science fiction conflicts, where right and wrong are clearly delineated, these confrontations force readers to recognise valid points on all sides while acknowledging the tragic necessity of violence in a world where resources are scarce and survival is never guaranteed. The book's resolution, while providing closure to many long-running plot threads, also sets up even greater challenges for the surviving characters. The victories achieved come at tremendous cost, and the knowledge gained raises more questions than it answers, ensuring that readers will be eager to continue the journey into the next volume. Throughout these events, Tilley demonstrates remarkable skill in balancing multiple storylines without losing narrative focus, weaving together personal dramas and epic conflicts into a tapestry that rewards both casual readers and those who appreciate deeper thematic exploration. The most profound lesson embedded within Blood River concerns the dangerous seduction of technological superiority and the ways in which advanced civilizations can use their capabilities to justify moral compromise. The Federation's attitude toward the mutes reflects real-world patterns of colonialism and cultural imperialism, where material advancement becomes a rationale for exploitation and oppression. Tilley forces readers to examine their own assumptions about progress and development, questioning whether technological sophistication automatically confers moral authority or ethical wisdom. The exploration of environmental themes throughout the novel offers prescient insights into the relationship between human civilization and natural systems. The post-apocalyptic setting serves as more than mere backdrop. It becomes a character in its own right, demonstrating how environmental degradation can force societies to adapt in ways that fundamentally alter their values and social structures. The contrast between the Federation's artificial underground environment and the mutes' surface-based culture illustrates different approaches to environmental adaptation, each with distinct advantages and limitations. Tilley's treatment of cultural preservation versus adaptation provides valuable perspectives on how societies navigate change while maintaining identity. The mute's oral traditions and spiritual practices represent one model of cultural continuity, while the Federation's technological preservation efforts represent another. The tensions between these approaches illuminate real-world challenges faced by indigenous cultures, immigrant communities, and any group struggling to maintain distinct identity in the face of external pressure. The book's exploration of prophecy and destiny raises important questions about free will, determinism, and the role of belief in shaping reality. The talisman prophecy functions not just as a plot device, but as an examination of how mythological thinking can influence practical decision-making and political action. Characters must grapple with whether they are fulfilling ancient predictions or creating self-fulfilling prophecies, a distinction with profound implications for personal responsibility and collective action. The treatment of genetic manipulation and biotechnology anticipates contemporary debates about human enhancement, artificial selection, and the ethics of biological intervention. The Japanese faction's capabilities serve as a warning about the potential consequences of treating human beings as raw material for technological experimentation, while also acknowledging the genuine benefits that such technologies might offer for healing and improvement. The psychological portrayal of characters dealing with divided loyalties offers insight into identity formation and moral development in complex social environments. Steve Brickman's journey from unquestioning Federation loyalty to painful awareness of moral complexity reflects universal experiences of growing up, questioning authority, and developing independent ethical frameworks. His struggles resonate with anyone who has had to choose between tribal belonging and personal integrity. The book's treatment of resource scarcity and its impact on social organisation provides relevant commentary on sustainability, distribution of wealth, and the relationship between material conditions and political structures. The Federation's hierarchical society and the mute's more egalitarian approach represent different responses to environmental constraint, each with distinct implications for individual freedom and collective survival. The exploration of information control and propaganda demonstrates how powerful institutions shape public understanding to serve their interests. The Federation's educational system and media apparatus function as tools of social control, while the mute's oral traditions serve different but equally important functions in maintaining social cohesion. The contrast illuminates the political dimensions of knowledge transmission and the ways in which different information systems can support or undermine democratic participation. The portrayal of alliance building and diplomacy between radically different cultures offers lessons relevant to international relations, intercultural communication, and conflict resolution. Characters must learn to navigate vast differences in worldview, values, and communication styles while pursuing common goals, a challenge that mirrors real-world efforts to build cooperation across cultural and ideological divides. The book's treatment of sacrifice and moral compromise explores the difficult territory where individual ethics meet collective necessity. Characters repeatedly face situations where doing the right thing for their people requires actions that violate their personal moral codes, forcing readers to grapple with questions about the relationship between individual conscience and social responsibility that have no easy answers. Blood River represents Patrick Tilley at the height of his storytelling powers, delivering a narrative that succeeds simultaneously as thrilling entertainment and profound philosophical exploration. The book's greatest achievement lies in its refusal to provide simple answers to complex questions, instead challenging readers to engage with moral ambiguity and ethical complexity in ways that most genre fiction avoids. This commitment to intellectual honesty, combined with Tilley's exceptional skill at character development and world building, creates a reading experience that lingers long after the final page. The relevance of the book's themes to contemporary global challenges cannot be overstated. Issues of environmental degradation, technological ethics, cultural preservation, and resource distribution that seemed like distant science fiction concepts in the 1980s have become pressing realities in our current world. Tilley's exploration of these themes through the lens of post-apocalyptic fiction provides a unique perspective that illuminates aspects of these challenges that conventional analysis often misses. For readers seeking science fiction that respects their intelligence while delivering genuine emotional impact, Blood River stands as an exemplar of what the genre can achieve when authors commit fully to their vision and trust their audience to engage with complex ideas. The book rewards multiple readings, revealing new layers of meaning and connection with each encounter, a testament to the depth and care that Tilley invested in every aspect of his creation. The AMTRAK Wars series as a whole deserves recognition as one of the most ambitious and successful science fiction projects of its era, and Blood River represents the pinnacle of that achievement. In an age of increasingly formulaic genre fiction, Tilley's work stands as a reminder of the transformative power of imaginative literature that dares to tackle the biggest questions about human nature, society, and our relationship with the world around us.